Once I figure out how I want to go about the stuff that I plan to create, because that's what it is, it's creating, I'm still in the midst of figuring shit out. Quite frankly, I'm still in the midst of figuring shit out, and I'm debating if, for example, The Blood Covenant, that audiobook is not out. I need to record it. Like, that's a book that needs to get done. Truth and Dare, I already did. Crowning, I have to go back and edit. The Saint's Blood, I definitely have to go back and edit. And yes, I may want to revamp that cover for the re-release. I'm thinking about it, but I would have to find something that fits the Christmas horror theme. So that's going to take me a minute. And then the rest is just the other book covers and stories that I have and old ass fucking manuscripts that some of them are completed and some of them aren't. I just have to go back and do edits. You see what I'm saying? Like, a lot of what holds me up is edits, because I don't want to have to do edits. Edits is not my thing. Edits is not fun. So I may just have to figure out how to find the joy of editing. And you know what? For those of you that actually are like in a writer's slump, and I actually started doing this, like I did this yesterday, and I just remembered like listening to or watching this YouTube or this writer YouTuber, and just them talking about writing. And I was like, oh my God, I really want to write now. So if anyone that's like in a slump, just pick your favorite YouTuber, your favorite booktuber that talks about writing or books. And the more you listen to it, at least for me, when I was listening to it, I was like, oh yeah, shit, I'm trying to I'm trying to sit down in a chair and get this shit done. So more than likely, that's what I'll end up doing today when I come up with a content release schedule. Because again, I came up with one for Kindle Vella and for the podcast show, but I haven't come out with a release schedule for any of the other bigger projects. Because again, as soon as I put my ass on a deadline, then I'm just like, no, which is the other reason I don't think I would work well with a publisher. I'm just being honest. I don't think I would work well with a publisher because publishing is a business. Writing is art. Let me repeat that. Publishing is a business. Writing is art. I am an artist, okay? I cannot be in a space where I'm trying to wrangle the goddamn story. I don't do that. So quite frankly, I go through certain experiences so I can write about it. Because if I don't have those experiences, I can't really write about it. I'm not saying that I can't, but it wouldn't be as wholesome or organic. I've always stressed the importance of having really bomb-ass characters. And I mean, like, characters for me, I'll always be a character-driven writer. Like, always and forever. But that's because my characters have a bigger message. And I'm not going to try and wrangle the message, which is interesting because Truth and Dare is the book that's getting me the most fucking traction. And I am genuinely shocked and surprised because that was the one book that I didn't give a fuck about. When I say that I didn't give a shit about, I didn't give a shit about it. It was a challenge that I issued to myself because I knew I couldn't write short stories. I had no plans to publish that goddamn book at all. And I said, you know what? Fuck it. I'll just publish it anyway. And now this is the one that's like getting all the ratings and shit. Shit, I actually came across a rating on Instagram for Truth and Dare. And I didn't even see it because someone had used my hashtag. And because this person had used my hashtag, I was like, holy shit, I didn't even see this goddamn review. I didn't even see it. So it was like the fact that my books have been getting reviews, the fact that my books have been getting traction, the fact that my books, and yeah, okay, I had one like really shitty review for Crowning, and thank God for this person. I thank you so much for bringing it to my attention because I had to agree with you. I couldn't even disagree with you at that point. I couldn't even disagree with you at that point. So the longer I sit on it and the more that I think about it, I have to think about this as I am a businesswoman and this is my company. So if I think about it that way, as if I'm showing up, for work for myself, then I feel like that would make it a little bit easier for me. Again, to anyone that's a content creator, okay? And this is me asking y'all for help because I'm a little overwhelmed. Not gonna lie, not gonna bullshit y'all. I'm a little overwhelmed. To my content creators, one, how do you come up with a schedule based off of the content that you need to release or based off of the content that you know that you can commit to? And again, I am willing to put some shit on the back burner. I am so willing to put some shit on the back burner. But, because that's what I have to do at this point. I have to put some shit on the back burner. So, what would you do to my content creators? I don't care if you're a streamer. I don't care if you write books. I don't care if you have a clothing store or a makeup line. Because, again, these are all the things that I want to do. For anyone that has any of these things, these businesses, please help, okay? I have questions. I am just in a space now where I want to learn. I am in the receiving space. I'm in my feminine energy and I have questions. And I can admit, if there's something I don't know, I'll tell you I don't know, which is also okay, by the way. So anyway, like I said, long story short, long ass fucking tangent, and just my way of saying, hey, leave a comment, below. Make sure you follow the podcast show and give it a rating because all of that stuff helps me. And really, TBH, when I get feedback, it's the reason why I want to continue publishing. It's the other reason I want to continue creating content because when you guys show up, then I'm like, okay, cool, great. Like it becomes a sharing experience. It becomes a dialogue and exchange. Whereas it's not just me going like, yeah, okay, I'm excited about my projects, then I'm just going to publish the shit. No. The feedback is something that I appreciate. The feedback is something that I am so grateful and humbled for. So when I do get that feedback, man, yeah, showing up happily. Seriously, happily. So anyway, I appreciate all of you. Please leave a comment to anyone that does do this stuff and has any tips, tricks, suggestions, anything. Feel free to comment on the podcast show. Feel free to comment on my Instagram page or my Twitter or any of my social medias, which I'll leave links in the description box below or in the show notes below, which is actually the better terminology. And again, I'll also leave a link to the story that we're going to be narrating for this particular episode. I hope you guys enjoy it because, again, I get to better connect with my work and I get to share it with all of you. And sharing for me has always been the fun, it's always been the fun part. I actually had someone ask me, they were like, you read other people's work? And I'm like, hell yeah, I do. To which I think you guys are going to be genuinely shocked and surprised when the Black Dragon Princess come out, which yes, that book is coming out this fucking year. I'm so serious. That book needs to come out this year. Has to come out this year. It has to. So just wanted to express my enthusiasm there. Anywho, without further ado, I'm going to go silent. This is the part in the podcast show where you go ahead and grab your snacks, your drinks, or whatever else that it is that you'd like to do. Kick back, relax, and please enjoy my narration because it is always a blast being able to do this for you guys. The Rippling of Waves by Cornelia Blackmore. Episode 3. A Ghost? Pushing her weight into the door, she stepped inside, closed her eyes, and coughed from the dust in her mouth, then waved her hand in front of her face to clear some of the particles, so she could open her eyes and meet the man who fought off that monster. When she opened her eyes, she met him where he stood in the center of the candlelit living room with his hands in his pockets. "Are you okay?" he asked. Anzer blinked in astonishment and ignored her racing heart at the sparkle in his azle. Sorry, hold on. Let's try that again. Anzer blinked in astonishment and ignored her racing heart at the sparkle in his hazel eyes. Jesus Christ, I gotta fix that. In his hazel eyes. There we go. She raised the goggles to confirm that this man standing was electromagnetic energy. How is that possible when I see him as if he's alive? Is it just me who can see him? I'm dead, miss. I hope that doesn't freak you out. He chuckled. Yanking her goggles down, she glared at him. You're... She paused. Dead. Yes, I've been dead since, 2022. He explained. You came here to look for something, right? Anzer pressed her back again into the door. Why did I put into the door? It's against the door. Gotta go back and fix that. Anzer pressed her back into the door. Why can't I see you? She asked in disbelief. I'm not sure. No one has been able to see me but you. But... He paused and ran his hand over the leather chair with the stuffing coming out at the sides. I'm glad you can. Who are you? Last I checked, miss, you're in my house. He smirked. She said nothing and raised her eyebrow. It was a joke. Do you come from a world where you don't joke? Oh, well, no. We don't do that where I'm from, Anzer replied. Well, that sounds fucking awful. And we don't curse. You must be from the ancient world. Well, apologies, miss. He smiled, running the tips of his fingers in his long dark hair. Please, come in, have a seat, and maybe I can help you find what you're looking for. Why are you so nice to me? What year is it? 210.655. Anzer claimed. The floor creaked beneath her feet, and she stopped beside the cobwebbed leather chair. I have got to... Sis! Oh, we gotta go back and fix this. I'm sorry. The floor creaked beneath her feet, and she stopped beside the cobwebbed leather chair. Guile looked at the ceiling and began counting on his fingers, which only fascinated Anzer further since his mannerisms were foreign to her. So I've been dead for 203,000 years. He said with a sad smile. Well, damn. I've existed in this place for that long, huh? Anzer's eyes bulged out of her skull. How is that possible? Because during the hours when humans sleep, I meditate to become stronger and maintain my original form. I'd like to think that's why. Anzer stepped closer to him, and he didn't move. This man is much taller than her, which is strange since they are the same height in her world. She tilted her head back and fought with herself to reach and try to touch him, which made no sense. Intimacy is outlawed. It's forbidden. So then why do I want to? To confirm for me if he's real or not. That has to be why. With a slight tilt of his head, he smirked and winked. Her cheeks flushed as she reached to touch his hair, but when the tips of her fingers reached, it went through him. She rested her hand by the side with a shocked expression. Anzer, I told you, I'm dead. He confirmed. I haven't told you my name, she defended. Then she stepped back and raised her weapon. I'm supposed to get rid of you. That's fine with me, he confirmed. Her hands trembled as she pulled the lever back until it whirred to life, and Guile just stood there, unmoving. He's such a rare find, and he's okay with leaving? Why? Why spend all that time retaining such a rare form only to be exterminated? I guess they don't train them like they used to. He shrugged his shoulders. Why are you okay with me killing you? It wouldn't be killing me since I'm already dead, he admitted. She trembled and her watch beeped with another call, realizing it was Davy needing a status update. Crap, she's ruining her original mission. Guile, I can't, Anzer shamefully admitted while putting the weapon down, then turned around to answer the call. What the heck are you doing? We're almost done, and since you're dilly-dallying, I'm sending now to help you with this mission. Davy finished. She checked her monitor and realized the tiny dot beeping on her screen was now approaching them. If you came looking for something, it's downstairs. Guile finished. Anzer pounded her fist into the leather couch. Crap, Guile, I just can't let them kill you. You keep saying the word kill like I'm still alive, he said.
Guile levitated off the ground, and Anzur's heart sank to the pits. I'm just energy to you, right? No, I won't stand for any more of what's wrong, she announced. Would you want me to get out of here and attach myself to you? You mean you can't leave this place? She asked. No, because this is where I died, and this form is trapped here. Tell me how. I want to know more about you and what life was like for you when you were alive. I don't think that's wise, Anzur, he affirmed. Please, I have to know what happened to you and all the people in the ancient world. Please, she begged. Guile floated towards her, and she froze when his lips hovered by her ear. Come to the basement to find the books you're looking for, and I'll tell you what to do, only if you trust me. If not, I'll go back to where I belong. And she trembled, somehow able to feel his hot breath. Then with a quick whoosh, he was gone. Now walked inside with his goggles on and pointed his weapon at Anzur, who stood in a daze. What the heck are you doing? I'm sorry, it got away from me, she lied, putting her goggles back on. Where did it go? Now asked. It went downstairs, she answered, taking the lead and stepping further into the house. Now followed behind her as she raised her already loaded weapon, following the beeping on his device. Whatever it was, we've been getting insane readings on this place. I knew this place would be too big a mission for you to handle. Anzur stepped into the hallway and gently opened the door to reveal cement steps downstairs. Well, go on, Now ordered. She took careful steps and ignored how her heart kept racing against her chest about her interaction with someone who had been dead for thousands of years. Who knows what he might know that would otherwise explain what happened back then. She then decided to do whatever it took to get him to leave this place and attach himself to her. She had to know. Her father was a scholar and would otherwise keel over at this information she stumbled across. When she reached the bottom of the steps, the beeping got louder, and she saw Guile standing with his back facing her in the center of the room. "Have you made up your mind, Anzur?" he asked, looking over his shoulder. "You find the energy source since I can't see anything, and I'll get the textbooks." "Yes," Anzur replied to both questions. Sorry, I fucked that up. "Yes," Anzur replied to both questions. "Thank you," Guile expressed. When he breathed, the beeping increased until it stopped working and now kept banging his hand to try and start it up. "Piece of junk, but man, does this place give me the creeps," he said while sliding the dusty textbooks into his sack row by row. Guile turned around to face Anzur. "I will use a tool to prick your skin to draw blood. I hope that's okay. Once I do that, say these words after me, word for word. It will officially bind me to you. Are you ready?" She raised her weapon and stepped closer to him, nodding her head. "I'm almost done getting these books, but we can't leave until we find what makes our monitors beep with that massive energy source." "I'll find it," Anzur replied, stopping directly in front of him. Guile raised his hand to raise Now's bag in the air, and he screamed, What the heck? Anzur, do something! I'll shoot it! Get the bag and report to Luther!" Now reached for the strap of the bag and bolted up the steps. "I'll report everything that happened," he said, slamming the door shut. Anzur took a deep breath and took off her goggles to see him. He used his finger to lift a small, sharp tool from her holster and kept it floating in front of her. "Where do you want me to prick you to draw blood?" "My palm should be fine. I can hide it," she answered, raising her hand. With a quick pinch, she winced and let the blood trickle down to the center of her palm? To the end of her palm. Okay, I'm sorry. "I release this spirit tied to this building and bind them to me until I command otherwise by the same binding ritual. I release all feelings of animosity and negative energy from this space so that it may walk freely if necessary, and in the name of the universe, it is done." Anzur closed her eyes and repeated word for word. Her chest throbbed and her blood pulsed hot through her veins, raising her core temperature until the ground beneath her feet shook. "Thank you, Anzur. I finally get to see the surface with my own eyes." He spoke aloud. The ground stopped trembling and everything returned to normal. "Shall we go?" Guile asked, walking past her towards the steps. "Hey!" she called. He glanced at her over his shoulder, and she wiped the blood with a small cloth. You're right. My name is Anzer. Anzer White with the 93rd Division Excavation Team. Nice to meet you, Guile. She smiled. Likewise. Don't need a suspicious commanding officer. He replied and strolled up the steps. She followed behind and made sure to put her goggles back on, to do what he said, avoid suspicion. Guile was tethered to her, and she couldn't help but wonder what his expression would be like when he made it to the surface. The types of conversations they would have, or any of the lost knowledge that has been confiscated. Despite her earlier scare with that creature, she left feeling buzzed, with a newfound purpose, and knowing she could finally get to the bottom of what she witnessed staying in the slums, and hopefully do something about it when the time presents itself. Mission accomplished.
All right, and that's it for episode 3. I'm so sorry I fucked that up and I kind of butchered it, but listen, guys, that's the whole point of reading your work out loud. You're supposed to read it out loud and be like, why did I do that? So then that way when you go back and do edits and republish it, it's going to sound a million times better. So anywho, I'm glad that you guys got to sit with me. I definitely enjoyed recording this episode for you. And I will see you guys in the next one. I know I said that I had a lot on my plate and I was trying to figure out what to do, but I'll figure it out. I will. I'll figure it out. But for the most part, I do want to at least focus on the podcast episode, if nothing else for right now, because I do have the time to commit to that, if nothing else. But anywho, links are in the show notes below to all of my socials. Please make sure to follow the podcast because I genuinely enjoy sitting here, again, shooting the shit and reading with you guys and kind of just bouncing off of ideas and whatever else. Eventually, I'll have author interviews, but again, that's going to take some time for that to get back up. So again, socials are in the show notes below, along with any of my Kindle Vella stories, and any of my books, or all of my books, are on my Amazon page as well. Again, make sure you hit the follow button and rate the show if you get a second, because it all helps, and I appreciate every single one of you, and I will see you in the next episode.